is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper. We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can roll the image, make it flutter. We can change the focus to a soft blur, or sharpen it to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your television set. You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to...
Macon, Georgia, Middle Georgia, and everyone else around the world through the World Wide Web. This is the Morning Roast for Monday, July 29th, 2013. I pity fool who don't watch our show.
That's right.
And can you
smell what the roast is brewing?
Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday.
Yes, we're live from the doghouse with Irv, Ed, and yours truly, DB here. It's 70 degrees outside of Macon, Georgia, 70 and sunny, with a high of 90 degrees and a low of 70.
It has been a sweaty, wetty
weekend.
Yeah. Unfreaking believable. Macon, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Sweatbox, USA.
Mr. Sun.
Mr. Sun. Yeah, well, there was no sun. That's a problem. I mean, it kind of peaked out, but a lot of clouds, a lot of water in the air, weather.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, how was your weekend?
Weekend was very, very good.
What'd you do?
Well, let's see. I went out and saw my nieces and nephews today. Yesterday.
That was a good thing.
Very good. I did some work with Big T, Terrence McNair. He was a cast member of mine from when we had our comedy show at LOL Laugh Out Loud. It was a show that it's no longer on air. Actually got canceled before we even got on the air.
Wow.
Public access.
It's one of those, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you ought to bring in some tapes if we have anything of that. Do we have anything like that?
Well, yeah, I think you play the Jerk Away commercial. That was one of the sketches that we did that.
The Jerk Away with Anthony B. Harris, a few people. Well, what about Brag Jam? Did you participate in that at all?
No, I wasn't able to make it to Brag Jam.
Well, good morning, Too Much. Good morning, Pastor.
But what I've heard that it was a very good turnout.
It was. I left here around 10:30 in the evening. Anthony Harris, who's currently running for mayor in Macon, he picked me up with his wife. We went down. We hung out at Shadows, and we were right on the street. I mean, we had $20 seats, $25 seats. What would have been charged $25, we got it for nothing. And not only that, we had a couple of beers. It was great. We had a great time. People on the street. It was a day to look at people. I've never seen Macon as packed as I saw it yesterday in a while, actually. Rather on Saturday. It was Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday night. It's Saturday, yeah, mostly Saturday. Yeah, matter of fact, I think I have a story. Do you have a video on that? If not, I have.
On what?
On Bragg Jam? No? Alright, well, tell the story.
Okay, I'll go ahead and tell the story about it. It says,
Tell us a story, Derek.
yes, Bragg Jam 2013 ends on a high note. It says that Bragg Jam 2013 ended on a high note this weekend as thousands of people flocked downtown to listen to great music and shop locally. Organizers estimate more than 3,000 people visited the city this weekend, stopped by stores, museums, and restaurants. Co-marketing chair, Bragg Jam co-marketing chair Eric Werner said that ideally people come down here, bring their kids, and have a good time, and then it's a concert crawl. Says planning an event with 56 bands, 15 stages, indoor and outdoor events is not an easy task, and organizers like Werner spend a very good portion of the year finding what fits for the festival. He said that you will see more trash cans along the streets, he said, and this year we've shut down Cherry Street for the first time.
Yeah.
We've never done that before, so
No.
hopefully people will see a cleaner and safer downtown. Cassie Brussels' family came out all the way from Tampa, Florida, to see to hear the sounds, and she spent most of the early portion Saturday at the arts event and the night partied at Roasted Cafe and Lounge. Wow.
Yeah.
She says, it's always nice to see people enjoying downtown, she said. And Veronica Moore and her daughter skipped the concert crawl altogether and spent Saturday taking in the sights and shop locally. And this gave her a good reason to come to Bragg Jam. She said she's never been to downtown Macon before. And also, Roger Ruiz, the owner of Doughboy Pizza, where we usually stop by,
Yeah.
doubled
We
his
had lunch there
staff.
this
Yeah,
year.
doubled his staff on Saturday on Saturday in anticipation to Bragg Jam visitors, and he says it's one of the things that you need to attend. It's really nice, it's really fun. That was his best weekend he had this year.
Well, and tickets were $25, $100, and $20. $20, $25, and $100.
Yes.
I know this started out as there were two brothers who died on their way back to Macon. I believe they were in a band,
Yeah, they were in a band.
and this is in honor of them. Every year it's grown even bigger,
Yes.
and this year, of course, they had the most bands ever.
You know how many talented bands are in Macon or stuck here? It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well,
About as many as there are in Athens.
Yeah.
That has a lot to do with our city government.
Yeah.
well,
And he's
Diaz,
got a
we
wing
got-
dang doodle of a story.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I have some stories
He's
going,
gonna
but
blow the shit out of the seams.
yeah. Well, during the summer of 1999, this is a history. Macon singer-songwriter Bragg Jam was on the brink of becoming something big. He had just recorded a CD with his new band, the Buckleys, and they were scheduled to set out on tour. But before hitting the highway with his band, Bragg took his baby brother Tate, an accomplished classical guitarist, on a cross-country road trip. While traveling through Texas on July 3rd, the brothers' lives were tragically cut short by a car accident. Back in Macon, friends were reeling at the news of the brothers' tragic deaths. Russell Walker, a friend of the family and fellow musician, organized an impromptu jam session of local musicians to celebrate and honor the Bragg brothers' talented lives. The healing power of music began to perpetuate, and a year later, the jam session resumed. Bragg Jam had officially been born. By 2003, it expanded to a citywide music festival. 2 years later, it was incorporated as a nonprofit with the board of directors. Today, Bragg Jam has evolved into a full-scale community area arts festival and Macon's premier music event. What began as an untimely tragedy has found its way to get back to the Macon community. Money raised from Bragg Jam is donated to Macon's Ocmulgee Heritage Trail in Bragg's and Tate Bragg's honor. And the same group of musicians who got together to play in their friend's honor continue to remain the roots of the festival at its annual Friends of Bragg's Bragg Jam performance in downtown Macon's Rookery. There you have it.
Yes. There you have
History
it.
of
Mr.
Bragg Jam.
Yes.
And it was great. Thank you.
Yes.
It was really, really cool. I mean, I really had a good time for once at a festival that people were excited about. There you have it, folks. Yeah, long history.
Very long history. Diaz photo. He said a really doggone thing. He told the truth out there to my too many boat shoe wearing frat boys at Bragg Jam. Also a bunch of hot chicks, I must say. And he said that that's effing Texas, man. Yep, Texas. Speaking of
something in Texas.
Yeah, speaking of Texas, Diaz, I just heard on another morning show that AT&T is now working with the Cowboy Stadium over there in Dallas. So I guess, so they're working with AT&T. I guess that's one of the sponsors of the new Cowboy Stadium, that huge stadium that had just been built last year or year before last. So just think about it. So you know what that means for the Cowboy fans. There's going to be a lot of drop calls and drop balls.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, I read that about the stadium.
Yes.
Stadium. There's pictures of Bragg Jam.
Very nice. Thank you, Ed. That's very nice. That, my friends, behind you, that big building that you see is known as the Dempsey Hotel. And that used to be a premier hotel. Of course, it was segregated when it was built. All whites only hotel. Today, it is a hotel for a lot of disabled people, and it really has a 25-year lease, of which 18 years are still left on it. A lot of people want the people that are staying there to get the hell out of there so they can make that and return that back to its glory days. But I say, what glory days? It's an all-whites hotel. But, hey, you never know. And it is beautiful on the inside. The apartments are, I know someone who lives, as a matter of fact, if you look at the window that's lit up on that picture, I know, it's all right. I know somebody who lives right there. She has a penthouse, a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful views of downtown Macon. I want to say good morning to everybody. Good morning, the DS Photo Guy, of course, Michelle Stacy, Pastretta. Good morning, Rocco just got on. Too much, Cocknose.
I'm posting a link to the news story on the Bragg Jam.
Okay, cool. And hi, Joe Ponic. Good morning, everybody. Did I say Cocknose? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
what you talking about, Liz?
Yeah.
Well, that was Bragg Jam this weekend. We had a great time. It was well worth going downtown, and it was late, but we had a great time. Yes. By the way, I want to talk a little bit about making the consolidated government. We're going to go into that. We're going to be cutting the show short today. We have a 10 o'clock cutoff time today. Our show is going to be abbreviated. I have another interview that I'm going to be doing on local television along with Derek, and it is going to be interviewing Miriam Paris.
Yes.
Well, it just so happens that I thought all weekend about what questions I would be asking her, and of course, Ed, always finding these stories, found a story that I think would be interesting for me to bring up. And it talks about Alan Peake. For those of you who know local government, Alan Peake is a Republican senator, state representative, whatever the hell that is. He represents in the legislature Macon, Georgia, but he is a Republican. And he told the Middle Georgia's largest newspaper, which we know as the Telegraph.
Yes.
He told them about this, basically a consolidated government, and that it was known as a bait and switch. And I'll explain that further with the story. On Thursday, July 25th, Representative Alan Peake told Middle Georgia's largest newspaper, the Macon Telegraph, criticism was inevitable in regard to the abrupt reversal of partisan to nonpartisan election months after the 2012 consolidated referendum was passed in last year's summer primary. Peake and other Republican members of Bibb County's legislative delegation changed language from H.R. 1171 that introduces nonpartisan elections for the new Macon Bibb consolidated government back in January 2013. In other words, we voted it in 2012. They went back in and changed the law. They changed the language. That's not good, folks, because basically that was known as a bait and switch. Peake spoke in front of more than 24 members of the Macon Exchange Club, boasting about the nonpartisan special election, which was set for September 17th, which is still coming up. The movement to reconstruct Macon Bibb government has been the main focus of Peake for years, and in recent efforts to go back within months to change, HB 1171 highlights the original intention in an all-or-nothing mindset. Among the 5 Republicans who comprise the 8-member local delegation for Bibb County, 4 of those Republicans live outside of Bibb County. So these are guys that live outside our county now making decisions about our county, which is very, very fishy. State Senator Cecil Stanson, which a lot of people know, lives in Monroe County. State Senator Burt Jones lives in the city of Jackson in Butts County. Senator Susan Holmes is from Monticello in Jasper County. And Robert Dickey is in Crawford County. And Representatives Bubba Epps is from Dry Branch, which is located in Twiggs County. So this political effort to restrict electoral impact from Democrats and African Americans specifically is intentional and reminiscent of the Jim Crow South, in which laws were enacted such as poll taxes and literacy tests. H.R. 1171, the Macon Bibb Consolidated Referendum, was quickly passed and forced into a ballot during the summer of 2012, when many of the details were still concealed. The 3 African-American-based legislators, Representative James Beverly, former State Senator Miriam Parris, which we're going to be interviewing today, and Representative Nikki Randall, went along with Alan Peake's vision of consolidation without little resistance and signed their names to this deceptive and flawed piece of legislation. On Saturday, July 20th, WMAZ aired the close-up broadcast, which is a 30-minute public affairs program which featured Republican Alan Peake. Peake reiterated that consolidation was a passion and made references that he was tired of the old guard and how it resulted in population loss. These comments are not targeted towards white Democrats or Dixiecrats, but African American Democrats who supported the Voting Rights Act of the 1960s and were included into local government for the first time. The first African American was elected in Macon City Council in 1975, nearly 40 years ago. The prospect of African Americans participating in local government contributed to some whites, not all, to participate in the social phenomenon called white flight. Private schools were built in response to integration, and Peake, a graduate of First Presbyterian here in Macon, was part of the segment of the population who were the original old guard that supported Jim Crow policies and Ford integration. It is safe to say that Peake was delighted and ready to move forward with making special elections when the news of the Supreme Court striking down provisions of the Voting Rights Act became a reality in late June. Peake told WMZ that he was ready for a new beginning. It is sad to see Beverly, Randall, and Parris, who received money from Peake during her state Senate run, side with Republicans for their own personal reasons and sacrifice principle and their constituents. On the close-up program, Peake and Nikki Randall done a great job and credits her independent leadership, says that her work with Transition Committee a hidden gem. The operative word is hidden. Randall was missing in action throughout the whole consolidation process, and when interviewed, she chose not to divulge to the public and her constituents about what was in the bill and to this day in the background. One detail which was hidden until the bill was passed is the supermajority requirement pass a budget on this new consolidated government. In essence, if there were 5 African American Democrats on the new 9-member commission, it would not be enough to pass a budget. This would be the local version of a filibuster, and many are familiar with how the Senate Republicans in Washington are fighting President Barack Obama in blocking legislation. This is what these African American Democrats, Beverly, Randall, and Paris, signed their names to. We'll leave it at that. That is going to be something that we talk about today, which Miriam, of course, unless you're looking in, does not even know I'm going to confront her with. So it's going to be a very interesting interview. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to get, that we're going to get some play on this.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Anyway, Rocco, today there is absolutely a big fat zero tolerance on any hate speech or racism. So if you are walking a very tight rope today, do not cross the line. At this point, you'll have to come back with another name if it continues, okay? Just to make sure. Yeah. You don't have to remain silent. Just walk a thin line, okay? Because today, especially, I have a lot of people going to be looking in from our local government, and I certainly don't want you on ranting and raving with your racism and all that. Irregardless, it's against the rules, and I want to play by the rules today, okay? And every day. Thank you. Okay. What do you think about this, Derek? We've been basically told that consolidated government was going to be a better form of government, but in fact, it was snuck in, and there are some issues with it that they would call gerrymandering or gerrymandering.
Yeah, gerrymandering.
Yeah. What do you think about this?
I guess it is true. The more things change, the more things stay the same. It's just the same old stuff, just put in, just repackaged. And,
okay, but things have changed. In 1975, they started to elect in some African Americans, which have been in power mostly since 1975. What do you think about the change of the old guard? Now, this guy, Alan Peake, obviously was from the old guard. So we're returning back to that, yes?
Well, yeah, I think it's starting to look that way. I mean, out of the last, it's 1975, almost for 38 years, almost going on 40. I mean, how many African American mayors have we had since 1975? Just one. C. Jack Ellis.
Right.
And I mean, we haven't had any female mayors or even Latino or Asian mayors, but I mean, so yeah, it has. I mean, yeah, it has changed, but it has remained the same. We still have poverty. We still.
But do you think that the honestly, do you really think that the politicians really have the power to keep us in poverty and to keep us in the state that we've been in for the last 30 some odd years?
Well, yes and no.
They've been doing a good job.
Yeah, they've been doing a good job. Well, see, the thing is yes and no. Yes, if you allow them to, then yeah, you can. Yes, they will allow it if you allow them to.
They say it's not the evil that does you in; it's the people that let the evil do you in.
All right.
If people ain't gonna bitch, all they gotta do is bitch and not be part of the solution. They need to shut the fuck up. If they want to be part of the solution, they need to do something about it. Vote the right people in, the wrong people out.
Yeah, well, basically, yes. Like what Ed said, I guess in more colloquial fashion, like basically evil triumphs when good people do nothing. And good people, I mean, I'm saying that good people here in Macon are lazy. They just haven't done enough to quell this, to quell the inequities, in the city. And
the rumor of Charlotte, South Carolina. Okay, well, let me just say this. Just recently, it was put out, actually, this weekend, that Georgia, the state of Georgia, and especially the city of Atlanta as a large city, you're going to have at least a 30% compared to the rest of making it here. In other words, you've got cities like right now, New York City is really number one right now. That you can go up the prosperity ladder, so to speak, very quickly. I always felt that about New York. You can go there, you can have no college, no high school, and you still make a pretty nice piece of change. Of course, everything is triple the amount that it's here in Georgia, but, you know, you can spend it because you got it. You get paid on average of $50,000 a year. That's on average. Here in Macon, Georgia, your average is about $26,000 a year.
Yes.
And lower. And so that would put you very close to the poverty level.
Yes. Speaking of poverty, I have a story in from Huffington Post that 80% of the United States, U.S. adults face near poverty and unemployment.
Yeah.
According to a survey, it says 4 out of 5. 4
Yes,
out of 5.
4 out of 5.
From Washington, 4 out of 5 U.S. adults struggle with joblessness, near poverty, or reliance on welfare for at least parts of their lives, a sign of deteriorating economic security and an elusive American dream. The survey data exclusive to the Associated Press points to an increasingly globalized U.S. economy, widening gap between rich and poor, and the loss of good-paying manufacturing jobs as reasons for the trend. The findings come as President Barack Obama tries to renew his administration's emphasis on the economy, saying in recent speeches that his highest priority is to rebuild ladders of opportunity and reverse income inequality. As non-whites approach a numerical majority in the U.S., one question is how public programs lift the disadvantaged should be best focused on the affirmative action that historically has tried to eliminate the racial barriers as seen as the major impediment to economic equality, or simply on improving socioeconomic status for all, regardless of race. Now, hardship is particularly growing among whites based on several measures. Pessimism among that racial group about their families' economic futures has climbed to the highest point since at least 1987. In the most recent AP GFK poll, 63% of whites called the economy poor. Irene Sawyers, age 52, of Buchanan County, Virginia, says, I think it's going to get worse. It says a declining coal region in Appalachia, and she's been married and divorced 3 times. Sawyers now helps run a fruit and vegetable stand with her boyfriend, but it doesn't generate much income. They live mostly off government disability checks.
Mm-hmm.
And she said if you do try to go apply for a job, they're not hiring people, and they're not paying that much to even go to work. She says she has nothing better to do than to get, children, she says, have nothing better to do than to get on drugs. Says that marriage rates are all in decline all across all ethnic groups, and the number of white mother-headed households living in poverty has risen to the level of black single mother-headed households.
Yeah.
Says that the
there's a struggle everywhere, and even you're right. If you look at New York right now, New York is much more segregated, and you're absolutely right, Cocknose, much more segregated than it's been in years. And a lot of that has to do with the economy. In New York, you're either extremely rich or extremely poor, and the gap between that is tremendous. A lot of the hotels actually are suffering as well. All those big-time hotels have got, they've cut prices. They're offering more amenity for the money, and yet staff has been cut back. But again, it's like Detroit. Look at what's happening with Detroit. It's going bankrupt. You can actually buy a house there for less than $1,500. You could buy land there up to an acre. You could buy for like $150, $200. I mean, and it's falling apart. Why is that? Because it's a union town. You see, unions are good to an extent, but what the unions have done to American workers is really hamstrung them for any kind of growth. This is why America hasn't been growing the way it should have.
Yes.
Because a lot of these unions, they just took up too much damn power, and they make the employees very lazy. Believe me, I was there. I used to have to deal with these employees who didn't want to do nothing because it wasn't on their contract. So outrageous. And if nothing else, I would say that what's the excuse for Georgia, since Georgia doesn't have any unions?
Exactly.
It's a complete same thing, except in the opposite. You got to have some form of union, but they have to be civil.
Yes.
You know, civil unions. And if not, then you're going to have both extremes. You're going to have either too much union influence where it destroys businesses and it stifles growth, or you're going to have no unions, like here in Georgia, where when if the owner of a business wakes up with an itchy rear end, he'll scratch it or throw you the hell out, and for any reason. It's what they call a what is it? A right to fire.
Right to hire state.
Or right to hire, or right to fire, as I call it.
Right to work. State.
Right to work.
Yeah, it's a right to work state.
Fire your ass.
They can fire you for any reason whatsoever. They don't like you or whatever. They'll come up with something. And not only that, but they'll make you sign some kind of a form saying that you're fired so that you don't collect unemployment. It's ridiculous.
Yes,
Good morning, Donnie.
Yes, listen. According back to the story, nationwide, the count of America's poor remains stuck at a record number. So it's 46.2 million, or 15% of the population, due in part to lingering high unemployment for the following the recession. It says even though poverty rates for Black and Latinos are nearly 3 times higher by absolute numbers, the predominant face of the poor is white. It says more than 19 million whites fall below the poverty line of $21 for a family of 4, accounting for more than 41% of the nation's destitute, nearly double the number of poor blacks. And even Buchanan County in Southwest Virginia, where we're talking about what's her name, Miss Sawyers is from, is among the nation's most destitute based on median income, while poverty hovering at 24%. The county is mostly white, as are 99% of its poor population.
Well, I agree with Cognos. He says the unions were less corrupt when they were run by the mob. That goes to say, it depends. Not New York. My friends pay into their unions and retire with nothing, with shit. He said unions are worthless to the workers. Rocco says legally elected officials and union big shots bankrupted and looted Detroit. Right on. I don't know. I mean, you know, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. You do have some protections with unions where some owners and some companies were very abusive to some employees. But I'll tell you one thing. You know, one thing I learned when I worked for a lot of different owners who were the owners, and I was what they call a general manager for these owners. A lot of times it's your own credibility that will either make you or break you. If you're a crappy, you know, ass employee showing up late or making too many sick days, owners will take advantage of that and treat you like crap. But if you're an employee that is stellar and you do the best that you can, most, I'm not saying all, most employees will treat you like gold and they'll want to keep you. And instead, we didn't have to have unions. Georgia has unions. Here you go. Well, yeah, they have some unions.
There are. It's not.
There are some unions in some jobs, but it's not like New York where everything is run by union, Donnie.
But I will tell you one thing: if you work for a right-to-work company and you make any mention in union, somebody hears you, you're fired.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, you do have some unions, but it is basically recognized as a non-union right-to-work state, which means that unions are very, very shunned here. And anybody that tries to get in a union or try to form a union will get hell and have hell to pay with.
Well, the airlines like Delta, they got unions.
Yeah, I mean there are some. I mean you have the AFL-CIO here. You have you have some union. But I'm talking about, go to New York. You got unions for the hospital workers. You got unions for the hotel workers. You have unions even for valet workers, which is dry cleaning. You have unions for just about anything. You have the carpenters and painters union. You have you unionize up your rear end in New York. Everything has a union, just about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a big difference than it is here in Georgia. You know,
Yeah.
and that's all I'm saying. So,
Vote against the prostitute unions?
Oh, I'm
Wouldn't
sure
be
they got
surprised.
the pimp.
Yeah, pimp, yes.
He's the
They
big
call it-
anyway, so
Bruno.
Yes. Keep your pimp hand strong!
well,
Yes.
now also I did want to go back to the Make and Bid Commission races and what they're showing in terms of money.
Yes.
Okay, how much money have they raised, and have they applied to the to I guess the commission that allows these people to run, the financial people? I guess you would call it. Well, we'll find out during the story, because there are two people that they have to report to. There's no clear picture on how fundraising is going for the candidates seeking seats on the new Macon-Bibb County Consolidated Commission. But a few facts stand out from the reports available so far. Many of the 25 candidates for the 9-seat commission had only a few $1,000s as of early July, and some had practically no money. But in one race at least, the financial imbalance is apparently huge. Now, this is the district seat that I was running for. This one is huge. And it says, Macon City Council legislator Larry Schlesinger is running for District 2, which I was running. He was one of my opponents, against fellow councilman Henry Fickling and former mayoral candidate Paul Bronson. Bronson doesn't have a campaign finance report available on the Georgia Government Transparency and Campaign Finance Commission. That's the name of it. Fickling, whose latest filing appears, for some reason, under the heading for his previous canceled race, reported in early July that he raised $5,982, spent $4,999.52, and had $982 left. Schlesinger reported $53,806 in contributions, and $9,337.88 was spent in July 10th, leaving about $44,468.12 on hand. That's more than any other commission candidate has reported, and more than most candidates for citywide mayor. People have been very supportive and are showing their support with their generosity. Schlesinger added that he's humbled by his backers' largesse. Whatever that means. The disparity in reporting is one report not filed and 2 available, but one with a different category isn't surprising, given the earlier uncertainty about the Macon-Bibb government election date, which affects the reports that are due. Most candidates qualified for office in April, when the election was set for July 16. Had the election been held, candidates would have been required to file their financial reports at the end of June, and some did. But the U.S. Department of Justice held up the election, and it wasn't until July 9th that the federal judge agreed to the newly chosen September 17th election date. So we've got, and then there's more. I mean, there's all these other people. In District 3, Elaine Lucas faces former school board member Terry Tripp. Tripp doesn't have a report posted online, but Lucas shows $8,400 in contributions, about $4,500 spent, and about $3,800 in hand. I thought it was a lot more than that, but
Yeah.
anyway, once again, this is goes to show you, unless you have a good amount of money, and you gotta file all these reports to all these to this Transparency Commission, which is a big hassle. And by the way, if you don't file, you know how much it is? It's $1,000 a month in fines, up to. That is a lot of money, folks. You could wind up going bankrupt if you don't file on time. You know, What do you think about this, Derek?
Sad situation. You got to be able to balance your checkbook in more ways than one.
That's it? Okay,
I mean,
balance
well,
your
I mean,
checkbook.
this
You know, what do you think about all of this? I mean, this is all happening around us, and a lot of times that's the problem. People say, well, you know, whatever.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's a government
Yeah.
thing, right? So I mean, people are going to try to find a way to get over it, whether it's by law or by fines, you know, or tickets, whatever they can make. If they can make money off of you, they'll find some kind of way.
Well, what do you think about our friend Larry? By the way, Larry Sussing's a good man.
They don't see you.
Pardon?
We're okay on this end. I think we're coming back now. Vaughn went out.
Oh,
There we go. We're back.
There we go.
Vaughn. Who was Vaughn? Because I can tell now whose fault it is.
mm-hmm.
All right, now they can see your ugly mugs.
Okay. I just had to mute my computer because I'm getting these commercials coming in. Too bad we're not getting paid for them, but still. Okay, now I can see.
All right, you got it? I'm up. Good morning, ATT. All right, we're trying to stay on topic here, folks. We're talking about the Macon Consolidated Government.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about America. 4 out of 5 cities are basically in terrible state, right?
Well, 4 out of 5 American adults are under the poverty line, or at least getting close to it.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Yes.
And finally, we're talking about the Macon Big Consolidated elections. By the way, I saw David Kuzno on television yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And unfortunately, he spent more time talking about his car and cars than he did about what should have been his time to talk about what he is going to bring to Macon.
It's car, not
Yeah, Herbert Denard show
Oh, okay.
on Channel 14, which is the channel that we're going to be on.
Public access, right?
Yeah, and ironically, they went off on a tangent about cars and about where he came from.
But
And
why he talked about cars? I think
I don't know.
He was on a horse last time I saw him.
he went off topic. Good morning, Saibuki. Great to have you back. I saw you on Facebook there. Interesting look.
Yes.
Look. Good to have you back, Sai.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we got a lot of stuff going on in Macon. We had the Bragg Jam, of course, we talked about. We have
Bragg Jam.
these elections going on.
Yes.
We have
also, the same weekend, there was those who could afford it. They had the WWE was in town also Saturday night.
That's right. Something that you missed and you had a terrible time getting over.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I will survive.
Anyway.
I go always watch on TV.
All right, you got a story on Houston County, the
Yes.
schools?
Yes, I
Houston
do.
County is next town, I guess the next county over, not too far from where I live.
Yes, not too far. Yes, a select few Houston County schools have already opened their doors for the 2013-2014 school year. But teachers from all schools across the county gathered Thursday morning to kick off the school year. The district-wide assembly of staff and teachers at the Georgia National Fairgrounds is the only chance many have to catch up with old friends from other schools and to make new ones. Houston Schools Director of Transportation Tom Walmer says it was an inspiring morning. The first day of school for Houston County students is this upcoming Thursday, August the 1st. And also Bibb County students here in Macon, Georgia, their first day of school will be on Monday, August the 5th.
Okay, very good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, school starts early.
Yeah, starting.
Why the hell not? Get them in school. These kids are running around doing nothing.
Yeah, it's better than nothing. I mean, you have year-round schools. I think it's some counties I just can't remember right offhand, but there's like year-round.
Well, that's a little much. Kids need some time off, for God's sake. They need to be kids, no?
Well, yeah, true.
I mean, give them something else to do.
But
Give them a long recess.
With our education system, we can't afford to, I don't know, that just to let them
We
slide.
can't
that
afford
much.
it, but meanwhile, we got to pay teachers to run those schools, 12 months out of the year?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But at the same time, you know, our education system is pretty much dumbing down our kids. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean,
Wow.
it's already watered down. They have, unless you can put in 13, 14 months in a year, I mean,
Yeah.
just to catch up with the rest of the world compared to other countries. And I do. Oh,
Okay, what else you have?
I think
You
this
have
past
car
weekend-
break-in. I have. We'll segue to this. Go ahead.
Yeah, Bibb County Sheriff's investigators arrested 3 men on charges of breaking into a number of cars in north Bibb County on Thursday night this past weekend. Investigators arrested Camden Ashley Jones, 18 of Macon, Daniel Christopher Merman, age 19 of Macon, and Blake Griner Davis, also 19 of Macon. Investigators said Merman attempted to cash a check that had been stolen from one of the vehicles. Macon police worked with sheriff deputies to identify the three. Investigators also said they recovered stolen items from the homes of Merman and Davis and from Jones's vehicle. Investigators believe that the three may be involved in other theft cases and continue to investigate. Jones was charged with 7 counts of entering an auto. Macon police charged Jones with 1 count of criminal attempt of entering auto, breaking, entering an auto, and 2 counts of entering an auto. Jones was released on Friday on a $13,000 bond. Merman was also charged with 7 counts of entering an auto and 1 misdemeanor count of possession of marijuana. He's being held at the Bibb LEC on a $14,000 bond. Davis was charged on 7 counts of entering auto, and Macon police also charged Davis 2 counts of forgery and 1 count of being party to a crime. He was originally released Friday morning on $13,450 bond. Police ask anyone with information about these incidents to contact the Bibb Sheriff's Office at 478-746-9441 or the Macon Regional Crime Stoppers at 1-877-68-CRIME.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah, just
Great. Thank you, ATT. Thank you very much. I will look into that. By the way, speaking of car break-ins and all that, we have some breaking news. It's not so breaking, but it's news that has been festering for a while, and now all of a sudden they had a meeting about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is about what's happening in for Macon Bibb County. They're going to be putting in a new roadway that's going to take up a lot of it's going to remap Pleasant Hill. I'm trying to find the story now that I lost it here, but the seriousness of this is, if you remember, well, you don't, but anybody that lived in New York would remember that at one time there was a neighborhood called Red Hook, Brooklyn. And Red Hook was a beautiful Italian neighborhood. It had a lot of old stores, kind of like Little Italy in New York. And what they did was they built the Gowanus Expressway right through it. And it destroyed the neighborhood, basically. The neighborhood never went back to what it was. And that's what they're afraid of that's going to happen here in Bibb County. They're going to run the... damn it, I can't find it.
Don't worry.
They're going to run the Highway 75 through it. That's going to cause a lot of problems with people in the neighborhood. They're going to tear down houses. I found it. I believe... No, that's not it either. Shit. Damn it. Oh, here it is. Pleasant Hill sounds off on Interstate Improvement Project. Around 50 people gathered at Booker T. Washington Community Center in Macon's Pleasant Hill neighborhood on Thursday for a public hearing on the GDOT's plans to expand and reconstruct parts of Interstate 75 and 16. The meeting was designed so GDOT representatives could get public feedback on different designs and building materials for walls that keep sounds and sights of the interstate out of the neighborhood. While many people voiced their displeasure for any work to be done, one woman who said she represents a group of homeowners on the Northbrook area is optimistic about the project. So some people are happy, some are not. and it's going to improve the highway system here in Macon. But again, it's what happened in Brooklyn. When they take a community and they run and ram a freaking highway right through it, it creates this moat separating the area from the rest of its area. And you really just change the whole dynamic of the community. And so the fact that only 50 people showed up goes to show you why a lot of these projects do go through and why there's so much heartache here in Macon when people say, oh, they love to complain, but they don't show up to these meetings, which in effect then you give them everything they want on a silver platter. If you don't show up, then stop complaining. This is the same thing that happened to me with this dog issue. Everybody was telling me, oh, go after them, go after them. But meanwhile, no rescue people except for one woman, maybe two, showed up. And meanwhile, they're complaining all over Facebook, telling me, oh, you go get him, oh, we need to stop this animal abuse, and blah, blah, blah. But then on the day, then nobody shows up. It's ridiculous. This is why we get what we get, folks. Yeah. Most people know once the government decides to do something, there is no sense in arguing. Correct.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, what else is in the news, Derek?
I actually had some really bad news about a senior citizen, a nursing home resident that found dead after confrontation with the police. This is from NBC News. This is from near Chicago. It says a 95-year-old resident from an Illinois nursing home died early Saturday.
Wow.
Hours after being shocked with a taser and a beanbag rounds in a confrontation with the police. Authorities said that John Warner was a resident at Victory Center of Park Forest on the 100 block of South Main Street in the South Suburb. He was threatening paramedics and staff with a cane and a metal shoehorn when police arrived at the complex, they said. Police say they struck him with a taser and beanbag rounds after he threatened officers with a 12-inch butcher knife. Warner was taken to Advocate Christ Medical Center where he later died. The cause of death was not released by Saturday evening. So I guess they'll have an update some of those.
The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing nothing.
Doing anything.
That's the way it is. I like that. See, Albert Einstein wasn't such a dumb.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Okay.
Nah.
But as a 95-year-old resident, was tasered by the police. But something's kind of fishy here, man. He says he threatened officers with a 12-inch butcher knife, but then he said, before they said he was threatening paramedics with a cane and a metal shoehorn. So did he have a shoehorn and cane, or did he have a 12-inch butcher knife?
So they shot him.
He on the end of his cane.
You know, I have mixed emotions about that. I'll tell you why. It's better than shooting them down like they do.
Yeah.
But then again, he's 95 years old. I mean, how much of a threat could he possibly be?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they could have taken him down without doing all of that. But I'd rather that they start practicing on their tasers, because the police like to shoot you, as opposed to taser you. They're still getting used to the taser. As a matter of fact, that movie Fruitvale, have you heard?
Fruitvale, yeah.
Yeah, Fruitvale or Ville or whatever. That has to do a lot with the police officer thinking that he was tasering the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's based on the story of Oscar Grant, who was shot by Oakland Transit Police Department, and that was or at least the last 24 hours of Oscar Grant's life before he was killed by the police over there.
Anyway, this 95-year-old man, where is he from?
I guess he's from Illinois, because the story was from Illinois.
Yeah, a lot happening in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, isn't that no?
Yeah. Well. Anyway.
Randall Lincoln.
Yeah, Lincoln. Yeah.
Randall Lincoln.
I know a lot of people talking about Lincoln. Like, dang, there's a whole lot of Lincoln haters. Ever since the movie came out, they're just coming out the woodwork. Well, speaking of hospitals, Teresa Heinz Kerry, the wife of U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, was released from the hospital this weekend.
Good.
Just
Yeah,
wanted to
she's
let you know.
the ketchup lady.
Yes.
Heinz
she
Ketchup.
She owns Heinz Ketchup, Heinz Foods, in general worth billions of dollars. I mean, if you knew, that's a lot of ketchup. I mean, if you knew all the
I'm
ketchup
sure
that
he
they
was
make.
anticipating her return.
Oh yes, indeedy.
Anticipation.
Yeah.
It's making me. Well, by the way,
I think it's almost time for a break.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about this cemetery that keeps racism alive, even after death.
Mm-hmm.
And it desecrates, the N-word on
graves.
graves to bury white clients. It's freaking outrageous. Republicans may have declared racism dead, but it is still alive and well even after death. 2 former gravediggers are suing Baker's Ford's Memorial Cemetery in Lafayette, Tennessee, for instructing them to desecrate the N-word in order to bury white clients. When they refused to follow orders, Edward and Kenneth Taylor were fired by their employers on July 2012, according to Courthouse News Service. The lawsuit also names Coolidge Baptist Church, Cedar Hill Baptist Church, Demery Baptist Church, and 8 trustees and operators of the cemetery. There goes for your Baptist churches. According to 2 Taylor Cemetery trustees, Bob Housley allegedly ordered them to dig up the graves of African Americans so that white clients could be buried in them instead. Courthouse Service reports. This isn't the first time the Baker's Ford Cemetery had been in trouble with authorities. In 2012, the Knoxville News reported that the cemetery allegedly buried some clients on top of previously buried one, and allegedly forced at least one family member to repurchase plots that had been purchased by family members decades before. This is absolutely horrible. If the allegations are true, it would appear that racism is still alive and well, despite Republican claims to the contrary. In fact, what Baker's Ford Cemetery is allegedly doing sounds awfully like something out of South during the Jim Crow era. Once again, this Jim Crow keeps coming up, folks. It's alive and well. Jim Crow has not been... We're now eating crow.
It's James Crow Esquire now. It's
Yeah.
become... they got rid of the hoods and the robes and put in lawyer suits and
they put on
judge
big white
robes
smiles.
and police badges.
Yeah. Well,
during the Jim Crow era, it was illegal to bury African Americans in the same graveyard with white people. Segregated graveyards,
as
really?
well. And as a
Really?
result, colored cemeteries and separate sections of a cemetery was reserved for black people. Now it seems that even those graves are under assault by racists. This news comes at the same time that Tennessee conservative Christians are declaring that the majority rule gives them the power to discriminate against and violate the rights of others. The allegations in Tennessee are just another example of the deep racism that still plagues southern states. To this day, nearly 50 years after the Civil Rights era and nearly 150 years after the Civil War, many southern states are now implementing extreme voter suppression laws after the conservative-leaning Supreme Court stuck a dagger in the heart of the Voting Rights Act in 1965. Such laws have been designed to keep minorities from voting, as well as college students and women. Republicans like Rand Paul have even called for the repeal of the Voting Rights Act. Now, and then, by the way, then there are the stand your ground laws, which have clearly been misused to allow racists to get away with killing blacks while simultaneously being rejected as a defense for African Americans who make justified self-defense claims. There you go. It's still alive and well, folks.
Even in the graveyard. Obviously, these people never watched the Thriller video, but I digress. It's going on 9:02 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. We'll be going for a break, but tune in. We'll be in for one more. We're only going to have a 2-hour show. We'll try to put in as many of our programs stories as we can. You're watching Good Morning Roast live from the Doghouse with Irv, Ed, and DB. 72 degrees outside of Macon, Georgia, with a high of 90 and a low of 70. We'll be right back.
And we lost a music great the other day, J.J. Cale.
Mm-hmm.
There you
A lot of
go.
people don't know who J.J. Cale is.
Stick around, folks. There's more to come.
He wrote After Midnight. Wrote songs for Eric Clapton, Leonard Skinner,
And all that good stuff.
his music will carry on, though.
Yeah, it's pee time. That's right. Take a break. Get your coffee.
After midnight, gonna let it all hang out. After midnight, we're gonna chug, love, and shout. We're gonna cause talk and suspicion, give an exhibition. We're gonna find out what it is all about. After midnight, gonna let it all hang out. After midnight, gonna shake your tambourine. After midnight, gonna be peaches and cream. Yeah, we're gonna cause talk and suspicion, even exhibition. We're gonna find out what it is all about. After midnight, we're gonna let it all hang out. Play one, Bill. We're gonna cause talk and suspicion, even exhibition. We're gonna find out what it is all about. After midnight, we're gonna let it all hang out. After midnight, we're gonna let it all hang out. After midnight, we're gonna let it all hang out.
about that? They still robbing banks in Detroit. Detroit is broke as hell. They got no money.
Unless they're
That
robbing
all
for
about?
Hot Wheels
Talking about
cars.
loser.
Wait, were you even watching it? The robbers came out, got in the car, the cops they came and ran by them, and the robbers took off with the money.
Whatever money.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure the banks got
I'm
money.
sure they're putting in food stamp money. Where the hell are they getting their money from? No money
Somebody, yeah.
there. Anyway,
Somebody has done.
that's right. Banks don't have money, Manny. They got no money. And even banks that have money, like, here in Macon, Georgia, you can't get anything.
Yeah. Speaking of arrests, or speaking of police, there's from PalmBeachPost.com. There's a Lake Worth man arrested after crashing car with the son in the back seat, fleeing from police. A 29-year-old Lake Worth man was arrested this past Wednesday night after police say earlier this past week after he crashed his car with the son in the back seat as he tried to flee from an officer. Alexander Webster was arrested about 8 p.m. on charges of fleeing from the officer and child neglect. A village police arrest report said he was released from Palm Beach County Jail just after
Bless you,
7:30.
that's right.
Thank you.
Bless you, my son, bless you.
It just after 7:30 p.m. Thursday after he posted $12,000 bail.
Wow.
A village officer was parked near Corrigan Court and Lakewood Road on Wednesday night when he saw a silver Chevy that failed to stop at an intersection. The officer followed the car south of Corrigan Road until it stopped at a stop sign near Lake Worth Road, the report said. The car then headed west on Lake Worth Road, but tried to cut through 3 lanes of traffic to get away from the officer. The car tried to turn north onto Edwards Avenue, but lost control and crashed into a hedgerow. I guess a bunch of hedges. He tried to flee on foot, but the officer got out of his car and drew his pistol on Webster, ordering him to the ground. Webster told the officer his 6-year-old son was in the back seat. After his arrest, Webster told officers he fled because he thought his driver's license was suspended. When police ran through his license through a computer, he found out that it was valid.
Wow.
So he basically ran for nothing.
Well, this is going to sound very familiar to you. This store, by the way, if you go back to any of our history, we have talked about this store numerous times because they have been robbed numerous times.
Yeah.
What store are we talking about, Derek?
X-Mark.
X-Mart.
X-Mart, the Rated X store, once again.
Yes, the Walmart of porn.
The Walmart of porn, once again. This is probably about the 12th time in about 2 years. It's already twice this year. This one's the second one. And they just reported they got robbed last night. The Bibb County Sheriff's Office is investigating an armed robbery at the X-Mart located on Emory Highway that happened around 10:15 last night. 2 suspects entered the store and demanded money from the cashier and from a customer who was at the register at the time. One of the suspects was armed with a handgun. Once the suspects received some cash, they left the store. No injuries were reported during this incident. This is the second armed robbery in many weeks, in 2 weeks. In many weeks. Many is 3. It's been about 2 weeks, right, Ed?
2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah,
Yes.
maybe 3. All right, well,
Well, hey, if you're gonna rob a store, that's
this
a
is
store
how
to
many
rob.
times?
They got dildos, they got all the toys you need.
Yeah, they have all sorts of
And money.
goodies. But here's the thing, folks. That store needs to shut down. Move somewhere else.
Yes.
I mean, how many times are you going to get robbed in that store? And the last time, from what I hear, the last 4 or 5 times that they robbed the store, it was an inside job that we have been talking about when Anthony was here. We've been saying that's probably an inside job. This is crazy. Too many robberies coming out of that store.
Yeah, how much money does it make in order for it to be robbed? I mean,
I don't know, how much are dildos, Irving?
$99? That's just a guess. People who rob porn stores, what do they steal? Porn movies, dildo, lubricant, and money. Money. There's a lot of money in porn, unfortunately. Sex sell.
Yeah, usually it's from the producers who make the movies. I don't know that.
Well, who knows? A lot of those.
I mean, it's not like there's trading cards or
Yeah, a
anything
lot of
like
it is
that, you know.
bootleg.
Like it's not like you have like trading cards like they do
Porn
at the
is
60s.
porn, though, man. The endings are all the fucking same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, possibly getting shot or ending up in jail for 10 years for robbing a pawn shop. I would die if someone used a dildo to whoop the robber's ass. Yeah. Some of them
And
are.
how can you face yourself in
Some of them
jail?
are.
What you in for? Bank
Yeah.
robbery. What you in for? Murder. What? I don't rob
Well,
banks.
beat 'em up.
Assault with a
With a
deadly
rubber
weapon.
dildo.
What did you use?
A fake
Dildo.
dildo.
Money.
A vibrator.
People are doing worse things,
How
aren't
do
they?
you think the guy that makes those things feels in the assembly line?
Not that good.
Oh, I don't know. By the way, that 4 out of 5 you said in poverty,
Mm-hmm.
it's 80% of the United States
Exactly.
is now facing near poverty, unemployment.
Thank
What the
you.
hell?
Yeah.
What do you think's going to bring us back?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Usually you try to get out of combat by getting in a war, but we're already been in one, so and it hasn't doesn't that much.
Well, that's what made this country. I mean, it was a war. The wars always made money, no?
Mm-hmm.
We
Speaking
got into
of
manufacturing and all that. Go ahead.
I was, as I was talking about, I was watching the Weather Channel a few weeks back about how they had a show called How Weather Changed History.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a couple of stories. One of them that wasn't on there, but I was thinking about that. And this is back in college. A friend of mine, we were talking about
You know how they make those things?
dildo.
Dildos?
Oh,
They mold them after real people's cocks.
You know. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
So
that.
you got the guy that's got
Very
his
important
dick molded,
information.
and you got the other guy that's got to paint the dick.
All
so
right.
you got to think
You know
about
the
it.
worst thing is being a dick? Your neighbors are nuts, and you got an asshole living behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ed.
So you thought that guy at the assembly line had a worse job.
All
Think
right.
about the guy who had to.
All right. Let's
Had
go
the
back
model
to. Let's get our head on right
Yeah.
and bring it back to where it should be.
Yeah, like I was saying, we were talking about like weather changed the world or changed history, and it. I remember back in college, a friend we were talking about how Napoleon and other people, I guess Napoleon and Hitler, both failed and tried to invade Russia, and Hitler tried when Russia was named was back then known as the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
They underestimated the cold weather in Russia, particularly Napoleon, especially. When he went to invade Russia, they didn't have any serious thick blankets for them to sleep on.
Right. They had
And-
silk garments.
Well, I don't know about silk.
Yeah, that's a fact. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But go
Okay.
ahead.
But since they didn't have, they just basically slept on the naked ground, in the bottom. Basically Napoleon's men slept on the ground without any type of thick blankets to cover them, especially during the winter when they were invading Russia. And by the end of the night, they majority of them died of hypothermia. So they basically froze to death in their sleep
Well,
because they underestimated the weather in the winter in Russia.
yeah, they didn't have meteorologists back then. But let me just say this,
Yeah.
though. About Napoleon. Napoleon actually created a couple of styles. I learned a little bit of history of style during my dry cleaning days. And 2 facts came from Napoleon. One is when you have a jacket, sports coat. You ever wonder what the hell those buttons are doing there?
Yeah.
Why do we have 3 buttons and sometimes 2 buttons, and on women they have 1 button? That came from rivets that Napoleon had put on his men's uniforms because one day he caught them doing this while they were eating. And Napoleon used to dress these men up in red silk garment and basically no padding. The padding was, who the hell knows what they were wearing underneath, but white shirt, whatever. But he put those rivets on there. They were actually big rivets, so they wouldn't do this. And he also invented the cuff. And that was when he was getting out of his horse.
Mm-hmm.
He was going near a
That's
mud.
why he's always like this here.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, he had an itchy belly, maybe. Maybe he had a pimple on there, who the hell knows. But anyway, he got out of his horse, and instead of them throwing the jacket that they would throw, somebody would throw a jacket over the mud and let you stand over it, Napoleon cuffed his pants.
Right.
He didn't want them because he was so into that style, don't ruin your uniform. And he gave them red uniform for the reason that when they were shot, you couldn't see the blood. They would die, looking stellar.
Yeah.
I guess.
I guess
In
like
red.
like Jim Kelly in the end of the Giant, I'll be too busy looking good.
Yeah. So anyway, when he got out of his horse, before he got out of his horse, he cuffed up his pants, dropped down, went in, and everybody saw it, and they thought he was making a fashion statement since Napoleon was big on fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where that came.
There was another. But the story that from the Weather Channel, how history changed the world. I guess what it's fun that you mentioned that, Sabuk, about how the Mongol invasion of Japan was stopped by tsunamis and strong storms, divine wind, is what they called it. Actually, the British was trying to burn down Washington D.C. and the U.S. government was trying to figure out whether they should move the U.S. capital back to either Philadelphia or New York City. This was during the War of 1812. And the thing was, what really saved the Americans in the War of 1812 there were a lot of tornadoes. And during the tornado, I guess during the hurricane season around that time, there were a lot of tornadoes in the Virginia and Maryland area where Washington D.C. is located. They gave an incident, a demonstration how debris from tornadoes can be really deadly weapons. They showed how a 2x4 just basically sliced through and impaled
I
a
seen
wall.
a little whisk broom, a little whisk stabbed to a freaking telephone pole.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's that powerful. They went through this 2x4 went through 5-inch thick wall of wood. It just went right through it and kept on going. Luckily for the White House, it was made of brick, and some of the trees and that was basically impaled it on. Yeah, it just kept banging on. It didn't do any damage, but the British soldiers who were fighting was trying to find cover to shoot the American soldiers around the White House when they were trying to burn it down.
Didn't they burn it?
Yeah, they burned it. They didn't burn down to the ground, though.
Right.
But the thing was, due to the tornadoes, they were impaled by all the debris from the tornadoes, as well as being pounded time after time after time by those harsh winds, and also, thank goodness, from the rains from those tornadoes that actually put out the fire from the White House.
Wow.
So that's how you...
I was watching something on Robert E. Lee.
Yeah.
Do you know that Robert E. Lee was from West Point?
Mm-hmm.
He basically was in the Army.
Yeah.
And do you know that his homestead, his home, is now known as what? The Arlington National Cemetery.
Yes.
Now, Lincoln did that to spite him, so that and he thought he would regain that property. It was his property, but before the Union Army came in and booted them the hell out of there, including his wife, that he would now have all the dead officers that were from the Union Army buried in his wife's rose garden.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the property is now a cemetery.
Right.
But a little bit of history that I found out this weekend. Robert E. Lee, the great general of the Confederate Army,
Yes.
his president, the treacherous and treasonous Jefferson Davis, to which I lived as a roommate with his great-great-great-great-grandson, who sometimes acted like Jefferson Davis, trying to take over everything that came his way. Till this day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's something to think about.
Yeah, Robert E. Lee was a war technician, and that was another smear from the tyrant Lincoln. I guess you're not a Lincoln fan, huh?
Dang, boy.
Well, whatever. I still think that they put a lot of people to death for no good reason. They should have just keep it cool. They fought a war that wasn't going to be won. And you know what? They talk about Robert E. Lee as being this great Christian guy. Meanwhile, if you knew how he led a heartless battle, like sending all these men to die for no good reason.
Well,
I think he thought himself like David.
He's a general. That's why, that he's a soldier. Soldiers are there to die or to kill and break things, as Limbaugh once said. I'm still having this crazy. I mean, not to go off track, but there was some stuff on football. I don't know if it's true or not. I hope it's not true. But I was trying to see if there was anything on ESPN on SportsCenter. But I received a notice. This is from Football News that Peyton Manning breaks both legs in a car accident.
Wow.
It said the story is still developing. It says a spokesperson for the Denver Highway Safety Authority, HSA, has confirmed that Peyton Manning has broken both his legs in a traffic altercation. He has been transported via ambulance to a local Denver hospital for treatment, and the full extent of his injuries are not known at this time. However, both of his legs were visibly broken and not life-threatening, according to sources. It says the accident involved a 2012 BMW driven by Peyton Manning and a 76-year-old female driver in a 2010 Audi. The driver of the Audi was issued citation for failing to stop at a red light before striking the vehicle driven by Peyton Manning at a high rate of speed. It says team spokespersons could not be reached for comment at this time. The story is still developing. I'm still trying to figure out, see if it's actually true. I hope it's.
Well, we'll see. You hope it's true that he got.
I hope it's not bad if it is true.
Well,
but I do have some other sports-related news.
All right, bring it on.
Tino Martinez resigns as Marlins hitting coach. Tino Martinez, as you know, he used to play for the New York Yankees back in the 90s. He, along with Derek Jeter and Bernie Williams, he helped the Yankees win like 4 World Series championships and 4 during the 90s. Tino Martinez, he's now, he was the Marlins hitting coach, which he just resigned after complaints by players that he verbally abused them have become public. In one instance, Martinez acknowledged he angrily grabbed a player. Says Martinez was in his first year as a professional coach. He sat in the dugout during Sunday's 3-2 win over the Pittsburgh Pirates, then met with Marlins officials and resigned. He said I wanted to apologize to the Marlins organization for my behavior. And he said, I have made some comments to certain players at certain times, though, that I thought were more constructive criticism. Obviously, they didn't feel that way, and it kind of backfired on me. And Martinez said he once touched a player in anger, grabbing rookie Derek Dietrich by the jersey in the batting cage early this season. Dietrich was demoted last Monday to Double-A in Jacksonville, was among the players to complain. Martinez said he offered to resign earlier, but team owner Jeffrey Loria wanted him to stay on the job. When the complaints by the players became public in a story Sunday by the Miami Herald, Martinez became certain he should resign. Marlins minor league field coordinator John Pearson will become the interim hitting coach. First-year manager Mike Redmond said that everyone in the organization was disappointed with the outcome of Martinez's brief tenure. As like I said, Martinez used to play for the Yankees. He batted .271 with 339 home runs and was a 4-time World Series champion with the New York Yankees. He had a 3-year contract with the Marlins, but said he resigned and he received no buyout.
Wow.
And declined whether speculated if he ever coach again.
Well,
and that's pretty much all the sports I have.
Okay, that's it?
Yep, that's it.
I'm looking at some pictures of Bragg Jam.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, only 2 people I've seen that I recognize. Everybody else seems like I don't know who the hell they are. I guess they're all out of town. But I noticed that they stick to the beer area. Seems like it's all about beer here.
People get thirsty.
Yeah, look, they're showing more beer than anything else. It's not just about beer. It's about 2 lives that were lost. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't recognize any of these people. Just 2 so far. And it looks like a lot of out-of-towners were here. wondering if they caught a glimpse of us since we were sitting right there in the middle of 2nd Street. But anyway, what else is in the news, Derek? What else do we have?
Oh, yeah. Let's see. I had one of, I was just telling the people, I was talking about War of 1812, not Civil War. But there has been a wing-dang doodle of a story. There's a former decorated hero cop was arrested for multiple rapes and assaults from IntelliHub.com. It says, throughout his career as a professional bully, Richard de Coatsworth has been accused and being unnecessarily angry and violent in many different circumstances. It was even reported by some witnesses that he indiscriminately fired on innocent people while the streets were filled with children. This sort of behavior is typical with most police officers today, so all of this was overlooked when he was given a VIP treatment by the Obamas. Now, just a few years later, he's being held in prison for the most serious of crimes. It says that former Philadelphia police officer, once held as a hero and given a seat next to the First Lady at a speech by President Obama, is being held on a $60 million bail after he allegedly raped 2 women and assaulted another. A source tells NBC 10 former officer Richard de Coatsworth, age 27, met one of the women at a bar on North Front Street 2 weeks ago, then forced her into prostitution at a Days Inn hotel along Roosevelt Boulevard. Between 2 a.m. Thursday and Friday evening, de Coatsworth went to the women's home along North Howard Street in the Fishtown, Kensington area, according to the source. It says once he arrived, de Coatsworth forced that woman and a second woman, both in their 20s, to use drugs and perform oral sex on him at gunpoint, according to the source. The alleged victims reported this assault this past Friday, only after de Coatsworth went home, according to the police. Police raided the Coatsworth house on the 2700 block of Salmon Street on the Port Richmond section of Philadelphia around 6:30 a.m. on Saturday morning. He was later charged with rape, sexual assault, and terroristic threats and related offenses. Police also confiscated drugs and guns in the home, according to a source. No word yet on what kind of drugs were removed from the home.
Wow.
And according to the court documents, a bail was set at $25 million for each of the alleged victims.
So what do we got? $100 million?
Well, $60 million bail. The highest set in Philadelphia history. De Coatsworth faces more than 32 crimes in all 3 cases.
Yeah, well.
Hey, how about the guy they charged, the captain of that train that crashed? Charged him with 79
Yeah,
counts. 79 counts of homicide.
Wow.
That.
Professional negligence or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, according to local media in Spain, including the El País newspaper, yes, reported that Francisco Jose Garzón Amo boasted on Facebook about how fast he could drive his train. In 2012, he said, "I can't go any faster or they'll give me a fine." The speedometer with the needle said that was on 125 miles an hour. The report said, according to the report about that crash. Garzón Amo was arrested on suspicion of reckless driving. The 52-year-old driver remains hospitalized following Spain's deadliest railway crash in decades, which killed 79 passengers. The authorities located the train's so-called black box and are examining its recordings to see if it sheds further light on the cause of the Wednesday crash of last week. The chief of the train operator, Renfe, defended the driver Friday, lauding what it called his experience. But the country's railway agency, ADIF, said the driver should have started slowing the train more than 2 miles before reaching the disastrous turn in Santiago de Compostela. 4 kilometers before the accident happened, he had already had warnings that he was beginning slowing his speed, but as soon as he exits the tunnel, he needs to be traveling at 80 kilometers or 50 miles per hour, according to the ADIF president Gonzalo Ferre said. Unfortunately, according to the TV monitor screen inside the car, the train was traveling at 121 miles per hour before the crash, far above the 50 miles per hour speed limit on the curve where it derailed.
Yeah, I mean, look, 125 miles an hour, I could see that in a long stretch haul to try to get, I mean, those trains are designed to go, I guess, that fast, right?
Right.
But
just not on curves.
Not on a curb. And if he didn't see that curb coming, he should have known it. He's been on the job how many years? He's been a train guy, conductor, for just a couple of years. But he was something else. Who the hell knows what he was? But he wasn't a driver
Yeah.
for like 10 years.
It actually doesn't even say how long he's been on.
I have another story somewhere. It's not up, but there's a story where it explains how long he's been there. The thing was, when you look at the guy and he came out, he's all bloodied up, and the first thing I said was this guy drunk? And they haven't even mentioned whether they even gave him a drug test or an alcoholic test. But they do have some postings where he put on Facebook, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, where he says, he makes comments that he loves flying in the same, in other words, in reference to he likes the high speed, he likes that, he's getting off on it.
Yeah.
And so that's going to come back to haunt his ass. That's why I always say, people, watch what you post on Facebook. It may come back to haunt you. Yeah, he was bragging. ATT, I heard he bragged about the speeds and him posting about it on Facebook. There you go, Michelle. She got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that's going to come back to haunt them.
Oh yeah. No.
That's why I say, people, don't put everything, don't put your, laundry or whatever out on Facebook. People are so impulsive. They just they feel something, they put it on Facebook, and then later on they look at it 5 minutes later and realize, oh,
I shouldn't have done it.
I messed up. Let me take it off. Well, guess what? It doesn't come off. It comes off your page, but it's still a record.
Yeah.
It will never be erased unless Facebook themselves erase it from their data banks.
Yeah.
Besides NSA taking it, Facebook has.
Yes.
Never come off.
Speaking of social media and news, tragic news, this weekend, celebrities react to radio hosts of the death of David Kid Craddock, who died this weekend. Craddock, he's the Texas-based DJ who has radio stations, who has his show is played all across the nation. He died Saturday after falling ill at a charity golf tournament he was hosting at a suburb of New Orleans. Craddock was 53 years old, and he was raising money for his Kids Foundation. He died what he loved on his final days, spent selflessly focused on those special children that meant the world to him, according to the Kids Nation website. As you know, he was basically, he's a DJ, and since he's originally from Texas, it shows that he basically helped put Kelly Clarkson on the map, who was the very first winner of American Idol, of the first season of American Idol. By Sunday afternoon, the statement posted on the Kid Craddock Facebook page had drawn more than 60,000 likes and more than 15,000 comments. Those who don't know that much about Kid Craddock, he's one of the DJs that you see on this TV syndicated show called Dish Nation, where they have DJs, or at least radio personalities, on their morning shows or afternoon shows, and you see that they just have have cameras all over them. And it's basically what they show. They usually show it on Monday weeknights at 11 o'clock on Fox 24 and WGXA, or at least here in Macon. You probably have to check your local listings if they to check to see if Dish Nation plays in your town. Those are watching. I'm quite sure Dish Nation is going to have a memorial, or at least some type of special episode for tonight, since Kid Craddock passed away this weekend. As I said, famous DJ David Kid Craddock has died Saturday. He was 53 years old. Just wanted to let you know.
Wow. Anyway, pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, is that right? They booted Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity? Because I happen to have a story about Al Sharpton claiming that these guys are race baiting, which is ironic. Let me see.
It's like Herman Cain,
Yeah, here it is.
pointing the finger at Kobe Bryant for cheating.
Well, also, let me see. And Don Lemon show CNN is trying to be the Fox News video. We're gonna talk about that, but it says Al Sharpton calls out O'Reilly, Hannity, and Limbaugh as race baiting. And for some reason, Fox News has used the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman case as an excuse to launch a series of race-baiting attacks on African Americans, but probably none has seized the moment with as much relish as Bill O'Reilly. Friday night, however, Reverend Al Sharpton took the bullies by the horns and leveled a no-holds-barred blast on Riley, Sean Hannity, and Rush Limbaugh that nonetheless dignified and restrained, which is more than you can say about any of these racial hate mongers, even if they have deliberately maligned Sharpton with some of the same kind of race hustler and grievance monger. The Sharpton included some of the most blatant examples of Riley's hostility of African Americans, including the now famous Election Day remarks, in which he suggested that Barack Obama won election thanks to the minority welfare queen slackers. Sharpton continued, the discussion that followed was excellent as well and included mention of O'Reilly's 2007 jaw-dropping comments about his recent visit to Sylvia's Restaurant, which is the restaurant, Southern Food in Harlem, where he was so pleasantly surprised. Hello? Speaking. Good, how are you? Hold on, take it over. Hey.
Yes, I had a good story about this, well, not so good. It says thousands of bees attack Texas couple and kill horses. This is in Pontigo, Texas. A swarm of about 30,000 bees attacked a North Texas couple as they exercised their miniature horses, stinging the animals so many times that they died. Kristen Beauregard, who was age 44, was stung about 200 times, and her boyfriend about 50 times, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram reported Saturday. But the horses, Chip and Trump, were so covered with bees that they shimmered. Neither of them could be saved. They were chasing us down and they were following us, Beauregard said in the incident Wednesday evening, and they swept up piles and piles of them. It was like a bad movie. The bees who had stung the couple and their horses are being tested to see whether they were Africanized or killer bees. It is unclear what prompted them to leave the hive. Beauregard was exercising Trump, a Shetland pony, when he started to jump and kick. She said that is when a cloud of bees started stinging them all over, trying to escape. She jumped in the pool and the horse followed. It got all dark. It was like a nightmare. There were so many bees, she told the newspaper. Said we were trying to stand up in the water, but every time we stuck our heads out for air, they would cover us and start stinging us. Trying to breathe, and they were stinging us in the face and the nose. She escaped to the house, and her boyfriend called 911, according to the story, with special gear and foam substance used to clear the bees. They were able to drag the horses to a pasture where the police and paramedics tried to treat them. Unfortunately, there was nothing for them to do. Chip and the 6-year-old horse died before the veterinarian arrived. Trump was sedated and taken to equine vet, Patricia Tirstein's clinic.
I'll read it.
And the bees also killed 5 hens and stung the couple's dog. So it was just a bee sting massacre, where 2 horses and 5 hens were killed. So our hearts go out to the Texas couple, and hopefully there will be some updates on the story. Speaking of some updates, there is a story that a woman has sent.
Yeah,
actually, it's a petition.
And I'm looking at it right now. TheMaginExaminer.com.
Yes, there's a story that says quietly among the U.S., millions of bees are dying. Those who aren't killer bees, of course, were threatening American crops and food. A new bill this week could ban one group of deadly pesticides and save bees from annihilation, but only if Congress feels the sting of public opinion. No pun intended, I guess. America's bees are facing a chemical Armageddon. Just last week, 50,000 bees in a single car park in Oregon after being exposed to pesticides, and last winter over 50% of all of California bees died. Leading scientists blame one group of pesticides called neonicotinoids, neonicotinoids. The evidence is so compelling that the entire European Union has begun banning them, and Save the America's Pollinators Act could impose a ban on these deadly poisons in the U.S. It says it's up to our politicians to save America's bees. Big agriculture and powerful chemical companies like Bayer are already lobbying hard to stop the bill, but if we show an overwhelming public support on the ban, we can counter their influence. Sign the petition on the right and tell everyone that if we reach 250,000 signatures, they will take Avaz's great inflatable bee to Capitol Hill to tell Congress to save our bees. And it says we all call on immediate support to save America's Pollinations Act. Bees are dying off in the millions, and we rely on them for 1/3 of all food. If we act urgently with precaution now to protect them from bee-toxic nicotinoid pesticides, we could save bees from extinction. And I think Benjamin Franklin said something like, if the bees would disappear from the earth, the humans would probably be dropping like flies a few years later, because bees are very important when it comes to our food, especially when pollinating our food, or at least 1/3 of them, I guess, according to the petition. If that comes, and then if the bees fall off the face of the earth, then it won't be too long till we fall off. If they preserve our food, and you know how terrible our food is, Ed. I mean, with chemicals already, I mean, let alone pesticides, it's really terrible. So I agree. If anyone who do want to go and sign this petition to save the bees, I'm going to give you the. I'm going to go ahead and give you the link to it right now from the Morning Roast, and it's on avaz.org. I'm going to go ahead and sign. Go ahead and give you all the link to it if you want to sign the. There you go. There you have it.
There we have it. Oh, thank you, Derek, for being a good sport.
Yes.
That was Miriam Paris on the phone.
Okay.
I'm about to go interview her down at Jan. She's on her way from Atlanta, actually. She called me to let me know that. Mm-hmm. But I also want to make sure that now that Tara London is on, hey, Tara, I found out about some of the money that's being used by the people running, and so far Rabbi Schlesinger is got the most money, and Henry Fickling, your friend Henry Fickling, he's using paperwork from his last bid, trying to show that as the current status of money that's available for his campaign. Which they're looking at and looking into why that is. And I just did make mention about the consolidated government, where Miriam Paris, along with Beverly, James Beverly, and Alan Peake, of course, and Nikki Randall, have basically signed the Make and Bib consolidated government. They signed off on it, but that they had changed the language on HR 1171 that introduces nonpartisan elections for the Make and Bib government, and that actually works to the favor of the Republicans. They were the ones that were pushing that agenda. And this is why Lane Lucas didn't want it happening, because she knew that it was part of a old Jim Crow type of way of doing business prior to 1960 and what they call the Voters' Rights Act. So it's something that you ought to look into, Ant. That would probably be interesting for you to bring up, maybe, now that you're running for mayor. Macon. What do you think, Anthony? X-Smart was hit again, yeah. Well, everyone has to do it. It's not pointless, because you want to know how much money if you remember something that you brought up as a campaign issue, which was that money should not be a point of whether you can do a job right or not. And I think that may play well with the voters, as opposed to, having all this money. Now, I will say that Rabbi Schlesinger, who I really like, and he's shown a lot of support about to me and you, Ant. Those he has the most money. So I don't know. What do you think, Anthony? What do you think, Derek? But those are records back when they had to qualify the first time, I know, but they have to redo it again. Yes, Rabbi Schlesinger is running again. Since then, all of those people will be getting hell and a lot more. Okay.
Wow.
Those people who? The ones that are taking a lot of money? Remember, these are people that are, by law, they're allowed to donate.
Mm-hmm.
They're allowed to donate. Yeah, they'll have to report it again, that's true. But he's already put it out. He filed that report back in July. Actually, the rabbi was one of the first ones to report it. Henry Fickling reported from his prior run the paperwork, which is, I don't know. Well, that doesn't... Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's something that ought to be looked at.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes to show you some kind of deception, or I don't know. If they're following the law, what is the problem? The problem that I'm saying and I'm asking is, why is it that this particular city councilman who's now running for commissioner of this district, the one that I was running in, one of my opponents, why is he filing paperwork that's from a prior election? That's all I'm asking. You know? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here. I'm asking a question.
Something to think about.
So all I'm saying is, you know, what's going on there? We got to clarify some of this stuff.
Yes. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Matter of fact, I just got something, found out that, here's a wing dang do. I guess it would be considered sports related. I guess a sports bonus. Penn State officials have their day in court. This is from the Wall Street Journal. A preliminary hearing involving three Pennsylvania State University officials accused of covering up child sex abuse by former assistant football coach Jerry Sandusky is expected to highlight several challenges facing prosecutors, including admissibility of testimony against the officials. Former university president Graham Spanier, former senior vice president of business Gary Schultz, and former athletic director Tim Curley each face a total of 5 felony counts for perjury, endangering the welfare of children, and criminal conspiracy related to their alleged failure to report abuse by Mr. Sandusky and their actions during the investigation. As you know, Mr. Sandusky was convicted a year ago on more than 40 counts related to sexually abusing 10 boys over more than a decade. Messengers Spanier, Curley, and Schultz have maintained their innocence. The preliminary hearing in Dauphin County Court in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, to determine whether the case should proceed to trial also comes 1 year after an investigation by Louis Freeh, former head of the FBI, concluded in a report that the 3 men, former Penn State coach Joe Paterno, conspired to conceal Mr. Sandusky's abuse to protect Penn State's image. So basically they said, but several legal experts said that the current case faces major hurdles. There are questions about whether the men knew about the abuse and what their responsibility to report it was. Moreover, it's unclear whether prosecutors will be able to admit evidence that could be key to their case. And if the case proceeds to trial, many legal experts expect it could reshape the public's understanding of the matter. So this is a very ugly cloud over Penn State, says Wes Officer Law Professor at Duquesne University of Pittsburgh. Imagine all 3 of these guys were acquitted. I think it's a game changer for how we look back on this event. It says a major issue where testimony of Penn State's former general counsel Cynthia Baldwin, a likely prosecution witness, would be admissible at trial. According to a grand jury report that was released by prosecutors last fall, Ms. Baldwin told the investigators that Spanier, Curley, and Schultz informed her they didn't have any documents related to the allegations of abuse by Mr. Sandusky. She also said that Mr. Spanier was well versed in the allegations according to the report. Mr. Lewis and an attorney for Mr. Schultz couldn't be reached to comment, Caroline Roberto, Mr. Curley's lawyer, said in a statement that her client is innocent. She added that it was important to remember that a preliminary hearing is review of the prosecutor's evidence and not an indicator of a defendant's guilt or innocence. Now says that the defense lawyers have argued that child endangerment charges against the 3 men should be dropped because of a 2-year statute of limitations. Charges of failing to report an incident of child abuse should be dropped, they said, because the 3 men, unlike doctors and psychologists, are not required by law to report such incidents. So the plot thickens over in Penn State.
Well, I don't know.
It's getting bad. It's really looking ugly for them. Looking ugly on for that trial. I do have some story. This is what Ed told me. Doctor.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that story that talks about this money trail here. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, it says that I guess an ancestor, I don't know if his dad or uncle, Dr. Harvey Einbinder was born in 1926. He's an American physicist and amateur historian. Spent 5 years combing the Encyclopedia Britannica for flaws and found enough to fill a 390-page book called The Myth of the Britannica, published by Grove Press in 1964. As summarized by The Age 2 years later, Einbinder's book showed beyond argument that the Britannica was not a completely impartial and absolutely infallible work of general reference. That 666 articles, 666 articles of the 1963 edition were reprinted from editions dating back to 1875 in some cases. That American influence on its editorial policy had become dominant. Wow, now that's something you don't hear every day. You certainly don't. So Dr. Harvey Einbinder, is that
Is he related to you, Ed?
Distant.
grandfather, uncle? What?
Very distant.
Okay.
Probably 6th cousin, 12th removed.
Possibly.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go ahead and get into word origins.
Let's do word origin, word Smith. I'll do Daily Bread, and we got 6 minutes to go.
Yeah. Our word origin of the day is beef. Wow. Beef is what's for dinner. Dun dun dun. Yeah. Okay.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay.
Like mutton, pork, and veal, beef was introduced by the Normans to provide a dainty alternative to the bare animal names ox, cow, etc. when referring to their meat. Anglo-Norman and Old French boeuf or boeuf, B-O-E-F or B-O-U-F, which of course became the modern French boeuf, later came from Latin boy, B-O-Y, the stem of bos, ox, from which English gets bovine and bovril. Bos itself, B-O-S, is actually related etymologically to cow. The compound beefeater, yeoman, warder of the Tower of London, was coined in the 17th century, but it was originally a contemptuous term for well-fed servant, like bovine or cow. So does that mean, I guess when people have, I guess in street slang, I guess when people have a problem with you, have a beef with you, I guess that's where it comes from, I guess, slang-wise, like as an insult, or I guess from that beefeater.
Who knows? These kids, I can't even understand half the language they speak today.
Well, neither do I. Jeez, I'm in my 40s.
Come to think of it.
But who said it first? Who said this quote first? Crocodile tears. It says, crocodiles can't cry. Apparently, there's some basis for the belief that sometimes small drops of fluid are exuded from crocodiles' eyes, possibly to aid their chewing as they trickle down, or possibly activated by movement of their jaws or the heat of the sun. But whatever the cause, it is a physical reaction, not an emotional one. These quote-unquote tears may have caused the belief that crocodiles weep as they demolish the victims, which is mentioned in ancient Greek and Latin texts. The thought was first seen in English when Sir John Mandeville's book Voyage and Travail appeared in 1400. Sir John wrote, "There be great plenty of cocodrills, these serpents slay men, and then weeping eat them." The image of emotion falsely displayed on Mandeville's crocodiles being sorrowful over lunch has been made with us ever since. And also, I think it's also been been given reference to as a crocodile weeping tears, as from Shakespeare's Othello, when Othello believed that his wife Desdemona was cheating on him. Just in case those who didn't know. And that is who said it first.
Yeah, well, I'm having trouble getting our daily bread, so I guess I'll have to go to my daily bread book, whoever that is.
Iago for the win, according to Ireland's Patriot. That's funny. That's funny.
Just sit here a second. I don't know what's going on with our daily bread, but it sounds like the website is down. And trying to get it up, folks, but something's going on. Keep going.
You can't get it.
Did we?
Trying
Did
to
we?
get it up.
Yeah, I already got the word thing, but word time. But anyway, since it is getting close to 10 o'clock, we want to say that want to thank all of our guests and mods and chatters who were here today. DS Photo Guy, Graybeard Shaman, Michelle Stacy, My Nuts Itch, Rosalind Nicole. Thank you very much. Plastic Canvas, ATT, Flicking the Bug, The Bed, Gary Only Matters, Gay Realities, George Zimmerman, okay, Infected Penis, Ireland's Patriot, Leonidas, Sir, 300, Michelle Berger, How Moses Jones, Nical 3000, OJ Simpson, Realman Ponds, Real Ponds Fan, Real Ponds Help, Rocco, Snow Sparks, Too Much, Zapple, One Cocknose, Hydroponic, Sit on My Face, Really, Tower of London, and Watchdog One, and also Zabuki, who was here earlier. This
visiting
hour.
us after how long? He's been gone for a while.
Yes, a long time no see. Keep coming back next time you can. Just want to say it's 9:59 right now.
All right. Well, we got 1 minute. I'm just going to read something right out of the Bible,
Just really,
and I'm just going to do a random look. And here we go. Our daily bread for today. Just
a brief
opened up my Bible, and there it is. Their websites are temporarily unavailable, and that's what it keeps saying. So, but God's word does not come back void. And so I'll read Psalm 23, which is a famous psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He maketh me to lie down, and he restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yet though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before mine in mine presence of mine enemies. Thou anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. There you have it. Psalm 23.
Yeah.
Our daily bread.
Hey, we had to cut it short, but we have another program to do. Well, as you know, it's 10 o'clock. We had to cut this one short because we have another show to do. We had to go, it was on Public Access Channel, I think on number 14.
Channel 14. Wow, we had a lot of followers today, huh?
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah,
Lots of people. We had over
yeah.
47, I believe, is the current number
Yes.
still on.
51 at one time.
Pardon?
51.
51.
We have
That's pretty
51 chatters on today. We hope you'll join us tomorrow, Tuesday. We'll recap what happened today at the interview. We'll also talk a little bit more about what's going on in Anthony's world as he continues to run for mayor. And by the way, Anthony, I saw David Kuzno on Harold Denard's show yesterday, and guess what he talked about? About cars. What the hell is that all about?
But I'm still trying to figure out how in the world he was talking about cars and he was riding on a horse when he ran for mayor.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, he went off on a tangent about his car and about cars and about other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, horsepower. I will check it out, ATT, not a problem.
Yes.
Oh, it's like a Daily Bread website you can use. Great.
Okay.
And yeah, I can't believe they're down today. What the hell is that all about? Or I should say, what the heck is that
Track
all
6,
about?
Woofer excursion test.
All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow at
Thank you for
7.
joining us. We love you.
Yes, and on behalf of Irv and Ed, this is DB telling you, can you smell what the roaster's brewing? Don't answer that. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, Zappa. Love you guys. Thank you. Bye, all the trolls. Yes. Goodbye, all.